Okay, thank you for staying with us. It's time to look through the newspaper headlines, and I begin with the Punch newspaper. And the major story here says Buhari's aides, ex-governors, APC bigwigs intensify lobby for ambassadorial appointments. That's the major story. And some riders following that, so governors, lawmakers, retired military officers submit loyalists' names to Gbajabiamila Tuga. Don't appoint envoys as reward system for cronies, experts advise Tinubu. Another story at the downstrip here, Lagos schools where alcohol, gambling thrive in broad daylight. Third mainland bridge closes for repairs on Monday, says federal government. Failure in mathematics aborted my dream of becoming a pilot, Saka is speaking. And Mohbad, Naira Marley, Sami Larry, released from police custody. Tinubu stops 40% deduction from varsities, IJR. That's another story there. And at the top corner, court remands Emefiele in Kuje prison till Wednesday. Kano calm as appeals court removes governor, confirms Mohammed in Bauchi. Ladies, who has a story here?
So I have this this story in the Punch about Moromolu Atiketike.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know her, but she had like a full-page interview with the Punch newspaper, and she really talked about her journey and how it was that she started her career. She's now a celebrity anyway, but she started as a content creator back in the day during COVID, and she went on to say that her husband was majorly her encourager. He just pushed her to do more with what she was doing, and she attributes her success today to her commitment that she has put in to the work. Then she currently bagged an ambassadorial deal with Stanbic IBTC.
Oh, that's
and
nice.
You know, on the day I saw it, I was like, wow, this is nice. Like knowing from, you know,
How
just carrying your phone, the video if you know fine, if you fine, you know, and she just stayed there consistently. And it just shows the power of consistency over the years, and how it is that as youth, we should draw inspiration from Moromoluwa that irrespective, just keep staying there, keep building, even though it doesn't.
Even if you're not getting like.
You get, even if it doesn't look like
building your profile. That consistency rather will pay off at the end of the day.
Absolutely, and so she outrightly outlined that she prays before shooting her comedy skits. So
Nice.
the comedy skits are usually she's a Christian and she doesn't even hide it. So her skits are usually tailored around Christians, and so she says she prays before it. And you know, sometimes when you see the number of views, number of likes, you'll be like, is it not just? But she's telling us her secrets, knowing fully well that she commits it into God's hands. And I think that this was really inspirational for her to share.
Very impressive.
Yes. So the defense headquarters are saying that they have killed 50 terrorists and arrested 122. And they have ordered the bandits and criminal elements terrorizing the country to surrender to the troops or risk destruction. I'm particularly happy about this update because we've seen so many stories of, you know, students being kidnapped and, you know, bandits, you know, killing people, especially in the northeast. So according to the Director of Defense Media Operation, Major General Buba Edward, he said that the operations of last week resulted in 50 neutralized terrorists, with 122 of them arrested. He also mentioned that 49 perpetrators of all thefts and they also rescued 182 kidnapped hostages. So they also arrested 49 perpetrators of oil theft and rescued 182 kidnapped hostages. He also said that 128 million naira worth of crude products were recovered from oil thieves in the south-south region. So that's an update for those of you always asking, well, what is the military doing? What are they doing to protect us? That's an update for you.
Abby? So let me take this story on the downstrip of the paper, still talking about the Punch newspaper. Tinubu stops 40% deduction from varsities internally generated revenue. So in a letter dated October 17th, titled Implementation of the 40% Automatic Deduction from Internally Generated Revenue of partially funded federal government institutions, talking about how 40% will be deducted. And that generated controversies as to why are we having this now. So universities were concerned about the implication of that deduction on their internally generated revenue. And so that conversation has been going on. But the president has come out to say that this is not the best time for that deduction. And so it stands cancelled because that deduction was supposed to commence in November, but as it stands, the president spoke, that was yesterday, Friday, where he said that that intention or that policy stands cancelled. And so perhaps it will come as a heave of, universities will say a heave of relief at this point because it was going to hit on them. But the president has come out to say this is not the time to do so. So good news for universities partially funded by the federal government. We move now to the Nation newspaper, and the major story here, Appeal Court affirms Abba Yusuf sack as Kano governor. An easy calm as APC's Nasiru Gawuna wins again. NNPP heads for Supreme Court says verdict threat to democracy. And we'll defeat you finally there, Ganduje tells NNPP. Court confirms Bala Mohammed's election as Bauchi governor. Another story here at the downstrip, how impatient doctor infected me with HIV at age 11. A really sad story. Now, murdered lecturer gets letter confirming professorship at Wake. We recall the lecturer who was murdered in Niger State. She has now been confirmed a professor. Unfortunately, she's dead. Now, another story here. Court remands ex-CBN Governor Emefiele in prison, denies charge of conferring corrupt advantage. Uzodimma Odudiri gets certificates of return from INEC. Ladies, who has a story?
So I have a story inside the papers. It says NSCDC operatives arrest crude oil thieves in rivers. And so the operatives of the NSCDC have arrested 2 crude oil thieves in Ongela local government area in Rivers State. And this report sounds unbelievable because these 2 guys, whose names are Okorie Evans and Joseph Peter, would steal unrefined petroleum products and go to refine it. Mm-hmm. How do they refine it? They refine it using cooking pots.
Oh, wow.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And in that process, they would now sell to the general public. And so the things that they recovered include 8 illegal refineries, in brackets, also known as cooking pots. And so that begs the question, does that mean that the refineries we are talking about at the end of the day,
it does not need all that sophisticated technology?
This is not the first time we're hearing stories like this. This has been going on for years, how they refine locally. And sometimes some experts have said that they should be adopted into the system so that we can address this matter.
It on a holistical scale, yes.
Well, unfortunately.
And they said these spots were in different locations: a welding tongue, a bottle of crude oil, a list containing names of accomplices, and a multinational oil company's truck line point from the gang.
Oh, wow.
Interesting story. We need to quickly go on a break. When we return, we'll continue looking through the newspaper headlines. Stay with us. Okay, thank you for staying with us. We're still looking through the newspaper headlines, and the earlier story we took was about the illegal refinery from Toby. We hear that they have been arrested.
Yes, they have been arrested also. Yes.
So what other story do you have here?
Yes, I'm just going to touch on the professor's story.
Right.
Yeah,
you need to.
You mentioned. So Dr. Mrs. Fumilola Adefolalu, who was allegedly killed by her housemaid recently, has been sent a belated letter asking her to submit her credentials for promotion to a professor. And the head of Department of Biochemistry in the school who disclosed this said that, he said this at the wake and said that her death has left a big hole in the Department of Biochemistry. Friends and family have described her as honest, faithful, and one with a high principle. Some of her friends said they didn't see this coming. And her pastor, the senior pastor of the Voice of Mercy Ministry, said, in his words, "I lost a warrior, a fighter. I lost Aaron. It was a trying moment. I lost a laborer in the vineyard." And he said, I will revenge every drop of her blood by winning every soul for Christ.
Okay.
Devil, this is the worst you have done. We will redefine our fight for the winning of souls. That's very, very emotional.
Right.
And we just pray that her soul continues to rest in peace.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately, I know the family. So.
Yeah,
You mentioned.
Yeah.
And that justice will be done.
Yes,
with regards to her
absolutely.
death.
And
those
nobody
people will not
should be
go
sentimental to say, oh,
They're
she's a minor.
minors.
This,
will not go unpunished. As many persons were involved, they'd be brought to justice. Let me quickly touch on this story of the story of this lady that said how impatient doctor infected me with HIV at age 11. It's a sad but story that ends in some joy and happiness because she's married now, she's happy, and she was just sharing her story, her experience of how she got infected with HIV. So it began with she being in school, junior secondary school, and then there was a matter that happened where she had to be punished. And in the process of being punished in school, she got injured and she was taken to the hospital. In the process, the whole thing degenerated, and they needed to give her, she needed to be transfused with blood. So in the process of trying to be transfused with blood, because the case was said to be an emergency case, the doctor, they checked, the father was not available. Her father wasn't available at the time. Her mom's blood was sampled and it didn't match with hers. And so in the process, because it was an emergency case, the doctor decided to take laws in his hands, to get blood from the bank, the blood bank in the hospital to just transfuse her rather, with blood. And he said he thought that the blood would have been screened. But it wasn't, because after she left the hospital, she began to feel funny. She wasn't herself anymore. So that was when she now realized what the situation was, that she had been infected by HIV. And when she went to a specialist hospital, that was how she even discovered, because they were wondering what was going on with her. And so when they were trying to trace, they realized it was from the previous hospital she went, where the doctor now said it was because he felt it was an emergency case. That was why he had to quickly take blood from the blood bank and transfuse her with it, not knowing that the blood wasn't screened. And so because of that, her mom lost her fufu business because of the stigma and all of that. And how they even got to the matter of screening all the members of her family to identify if it is something that was already in the family, and they discovered that nobody has it. That was how they were able to trace it back to the hospital. But now she is telling her story. She got married at the end. She's married right now. She's happy, but she's just telling her story. She's working somewhere. But it's important that hospitals do their due diligence and not leave a mark. People come to you because they need help. Don't let them go helpless, as it is. Because if she didn't have the support of the family, only God knows what would have happened.
How did the doctor even take the blood that wasn't screened?
Exactly.
You wouldn't have sense would...
They're supposed to do a test first. They're supposed to do a test before even collecting your blood.
The blood bank should be screened, or even before you do that,
or maybe
transfuse it to the
like
patient.
A label.
Screened, unscreened, and all of. So how come they mixed it all together?
For blood tests generally, or people that want to donate blood, you don't just take blood. They will do a test to find out if you are HIV positive.
So how did that blood even get there?
Just imagine, because she said she was 11. So because she was 11, maybe the structures were not properly in place at the time.
Negligence.
Now she's married.
Negligence.
So no, she said she was 11
she was 11 at the time.
11 years. Now she's married.
She's married. So negligence, bottom line, because whether it's a child, a baby, you should screen the blood before you transfuse.
Absolutely.
Let's move now to Saturday's Sun. The major story here says, outcry over rising inflation. Nigerians to Tinubu, we can no longer breathe. High cost of living choking us. Experts blame insecurity, energy crisis, weak naira for soaring inflation. What president must do to restore hope? Some groups are speaking there. Another story here, Obiora Okonkwo, my story is neither born with silver spoon nor grass to graze, speaks on early years education in Russia business forays. Now, Tinubu to attend G20 conference in Germany. Kaduna soldiers neutralized 6 bandits in Birnin Gwari. Alleged fraud court remands ex-CBN Governor Emefiele in Kuje prison. Uneasy calm in Kanu over appeal court's affirmation of governor's sack. Kalu Idika Kalu, economic theorist that transform other countries don't work in Nigeria. Who has what story? Saturday Sun?
Yes, Saturday Sun. I have the story where Babatunde Sanwo-Olu said that, Babajide Sanwo-Olu said that Lagos delivered 3,000 homes for residents in less than 5 years. And so this was made known at the Conference of Directors of Lands in Federal and State Ministries, departments and agencies themed improving land-based revenue of the federating unit in Nigeria. And so he went on to say that that provided 3,000 homes for the residents and has assured that efforts are being made to reduce the 17 million housing deficits in the state. And so this report also went on to say that about 500,000 people move into Lagos annually. And so as a result of that, getting where to stay is always a problem. And the Lagos state government has stepped in. Even for the places that are totally developed, we will still realize that the houses are not even sufficient. And so he went on to really, really address that. And that was a commendable effort made by them. And he says that even though gradually, he's still making more efforts to ensure that more homes are provided in the state to mitigate these housing deficits that currently
exist. Take it a step further. Yes, do you know where I'm going? House rent.
House rent.
And what did I say?
Discrimination against women.
Thank you very much. If you are single, you cannot rent. If you are from this tribe,
if you are this,
get. But do the houses really exist? And those are private individuals that put all those restrictions. So
yes,
the government is not renting properties as residential.
That's the issue.
They're providing mortgage services.
At some point, there was a regulation with regards to only 1 year house rent is what should be paid.
Some even said monthly. At some point.
Yes. Yeah. But that's not what it is right now. So, and then you keep seeing them increase this rent on, it's seeming like a monthly basis. They'll tell you, you did not do anything on the household, but you increase the house rent. You say it reflects market realities and all of those.
Don't worry, calm down. The governor added that there are ongoing projects in various locations across the state, which include Ibeshe Phase 2, Ego, Songotedo, Ekpe, and Badagry, to mention but a few. So we're coming. Just calm down.
I'm calm.
Yes.
Please. Your story.
Yes, so I took a story inside the paper. It's a human angle story where this keke rider, who is a woman, said some alphas refused to enter my keke because I am a woman. So she said life took a turn for her when her food business in Oyo, crashed, and she had to start riding a tricycle to take care of her family, even though her husband wasn't really, supportive of the decision at first. But then when he saw the realities of the economy, he had to allow her, embark on that journey. And she said it was profitable until, the inflation, that right now she doesn't make up to 5,000 naira per day. And she also said that she faces a lot of discrimination because she's a woman. And there are fars when they stop her and then they see that it's a woman that is right, they say, no, haram. They just let her go. But then she's glad that during the rainy season, they do not have a choice. Because instead of them
anyone they see,
they just enter. So she now reminds them that, hey, it is a woman that is riding today. Do not discriminate against it because it's raining. And then they still told her that, don't worry, by the time the rain stops, we'll not enter your keke. But then she's hoping that, life gets better for her because even her children can't wait to, lift this burden off her.
This female discrimination is still very valid, even in Lagos. So I would remember that a policeman stopped my husband, and he was just discussing, and then I now had something to say. He says, don't talk, you are a woman.
I'm talking to your husband.
I'm talking to your husband. My husband said, like but my wife is a human being. So I see that this also plays out in various areas, not just even as a motorcyclist rider.
Even society. So you
rent
have that.
House rent for females.
Even in the north, there are some men that would not allow a female nurse or female doctor to treat them.
So that is not our hot topic. Thank you, ladies. We have to end this whole newspaper headline review right now.